Welcome to Beginner's Guide for Solasta Crown of the Magister, you tiara-wearing bastards. In this collection of tips and tricks I'm gonna focus on adventuring and combat side. Specific class guides and builds are going to be out soon in separate videos. Solasta uses 5th edition D&D rule set which focuses a lot on advantage-disadvantage system and illumination. By having advantage over enemy, you roll 2 d20 dice when attacking and taking the higher score only. This is significant bonus in combat. If advantage is applicable, green plus icon is shown next to attack icon. Disadvantage is shown with red minus icon next to the attack one. Advantage can be triggered when enemy you are attacking is suffering from some kind of negative condition that allows advantageous attacks. For example, simple color spray spell puts blindness on enemies that fails saving throw. When attacking blinded enemy, advantage is applied. To know which effect allows advantageous attacks, read the description of effect or spell. Enemies can be put in disadvantageous position by exploiting their weaknesses or casting debuff magic. For example, vampiric enemies are vulnerable to light. So by having any kind of light source active, they will take damage each turn if close to it. And whenever they attempt attacking your characters, they need to roll with disadvantage, taking lower score. Sneak attacks work in such a way that it is automatically applied when attacking enemy that has another teammate close to them and also when attacking with advantage. It works with melee and ranged attacks. Note that sneak attack is cancelled if any disadvantage is applied to attacking character, even if you have 3 or more advantageous conditions. One disadvantage cancels all of that out, so normal roll is applied in that case. Most common disadvantage in Solasta is when attacking unlit enemies, since lot of time is spent in dark areas. There are many ways to offset that. One is to equip torch in 3rd gear slot. Second and better way is to have someone in your party with light cantrip spell. Applied to the weapon and everything around you is illuminated now. Other spells that help with this are Sparkle to light torches and lights on the walls, Dancing lights that can be guided, Daylight spell, Paladin power sacred weapon, Dark vision spell and some other ones. Half elf, high elf and dwarf races have dark vision automatically available. Solasta allows something of an Overwatch mode during combat. By clicking on Ready Action, you can set characters in 3 types of Overwatch. This is great option for defensive tactics and when enemies are too difficult to catch, so it becomes easier letting them come to you right into the prepared trap. Some spells last for a very long time. One example is Mage Armor. Cast that upon entering new location and it will remain active until rest. Shield of Fate is another good example that should be used before fights, not to waste unnecessary actions when combat starts. Every fight should be started in caution mode. Whole team should be in caution mode. Have one ranged character that is good at stealth go ahead and start the fight by attacking from stealth. This puts enemies into surprised mode that doesn't allow them to act at all during the first turn, and attacks from stealth have advantage as well. It is one of the best tricks that you should be using all the time. Remember that stealth is affected by worn armor. Heavier armor puts penalties on stealth, so always try to utilize stealth more with light armored characters that you would also start the fights with. Good idea is to have ranged weapons in second gear slot, even if that character isn't terribly good at ranged combat. Having a couple of points into dexterity stat is always good idea for melee classes because of ranged weapons and because dexterity bonus is added to light and medium armor to increase armor class. Many fights start with enemies being far away, so having option to shoot from afar and prepare ambush could be difference between winning and losing. Not to mention how effective ranged weapons are with cautious mode due to advantage when shooting from stealth. Another good weapon type to have in inventory in case of skeleton attack is bludgeon type. Most common and useful weapon in that category is mace. Reason is that skeletons are vulnerable to bludgeon damage, which makes mace awesome in that situation, making such fights much easier. Now to talk a bit about paladins and clerics. Problem is that many of their spells have somatic component requirement, meaning they need free offhand to cast those spells. Here is my solution to work around that and save gear slots in the process. Have first equipment slot filled with one-handed weapon plus shield, while third gear slot, meaning light source one, has only weapon equipment without light source. By switching to light source gear during combat without light source equipped, paladins and clerics are able to cast whichever spell they want because only weapon is active and offhand where light source should be is empty instead. Benefit of doing this is that second gear slot remains free for two-handed ranged weapon or whatever you like. Note that changing gear slots can be done once per round. Good thing to know in this case is that some weapons have versatility property. This means that character wields that weapon with two hands if offhand slot is free, dealing additional damage. Battle axe and long sword come to mind. Concentration is important part for any spellcaster. Constitution modifier is added to concentration check saving throws. Plan ahead which spells you want active, as only one spell that requires concentration can be active at the same time. Spell that is simply too good and should be active in every fight is Bless, but it requires concentration, so paladin or cleric is going to be unable to cast another concentration based spell while Bless is active. When it comes to crafting and tools proficiency, most important thing is to properly combine classes with backgrounds to get the most out of crafting system. Pay attention to background and class descriptions, as they state which classes and backgrounds are proficient with tools and skills necessary for crafting. For example, if you want to be able to craft poison related stuff, character needs to be proficient with poisoner's kit and either nature or medicine skill. Spy background, rogue dark weaver and hunter marksman subclasses are proficient with poisoner's kit, so these are your options for poison crafting. This also means that having rogue in the party for lockpicking and disarming traps isn't necessary. Just have someone with high dexterity and light armor that is proficient with thieves' tools. Low life background and lockbreaker feat give thieves' tools proficiency. Try to have herbalist character crafting healing potions at all times because they are not that common and quite expensive if bought from stores. In Solasta there is a lot of emphasis on encumbrance and inventory management. Encumbered characters have movement reduced in combat, which is quite bad. If you can't be arsed dealing with encumbrance system, there is option in game settings that allows simplified rules to be used, which essentially means you won't ever have to worry about it. While adventuring and looting you will come across magnificent and splendid equipment. This is magical gear that can be identified only after using Detect Magic spell. Use Detect Magic spell to discover magical items in the inventory and afterwards use Identify to reveal their true potential. Both Detect Magic and Identify are ritual spells that require some time to prepare and don't waste spell slots, so don't be afraid of using them. Some merchants also have Detect Magic and Identify options, but it costs few gold pieces. Spell scrolls can be used from inventory or quick slots. If you are like me and don't know by heart which spell does what, right-click on the scroll and hover over Cast Spell button. This shows description what that spell actually does. Early in the game, Crown is going to be acquired. It is story item that stays with character in the party that you choose and can't be removed anymore. Here are Crown stats so you can plan ahead which character of yours could benefit from it the most. Last tip is about environmental interactable objects. Some objects are far away and seemingly impossible to reach. This is where ranged spells and ranged weapons come in handy. Shoot objects from afar to open new paths. That would be all for this beginner's guide. Hope this all helps. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more Solasta content.